Well, I think we can go ahead and kick off. Welcome this afternoon. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge and honor the original inhabitants of the areas that the League of Women Voters of Santa Monica represents. Leagues at all levels, including national, are committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion in policy and in practice, and land acknowledgements are a vital part of our efforts towards becoming a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive organization. Our leagues here in the Santa Monica and surrounding areas, including Malibu, are of the traditional lands of 3 tribal nations, the Chumash, the Tongva, and the Quiche. We recognize that acknowledgement is only the first step towards working with Native communities to secure meaningful partnerships and inclusion in the stewardship and protection of their natural cultural resources and homelands. We encourage you to learn more about Native lands, and a great resource is the Native Land, and that's native-land.ca, that has maps of tribal nations and other educational resources. Welcome, welcome, welcome to this afternoon's Fall Kickoff. It's so nice to see you all. For those who may not know me, I am Angela Scott, and I go by the pronouns of she and her. I'm the president of record for this fiscal year. My vice president and administration and a member of the leadership team is none other than Barbara Inatsugu. And on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Santa Monica, we thank you for taking time out of your busy lives to spend this time with us. Since this is a Zoom event, just a couple of housekeeping notes. I will try to make sure that you are muted during the duration of the program, unless you're presenting at any point, for which time they'll be requested to unmute when it's time for you to speak. We are recording the program, as you know, so if you're not uncomfortable with your image being recorded, please turn your video off in the bottom left-hand corner. We've also heard from a number of people who can't be here this afternoon and look forward to viewing the recording, so I want to make sure that they have that opportunity. And we also have both Karen Carey and Jackie Pepper that'll be monitoring our chat, so we're hoping to catch any questions or comments that may be pertinent to our speaker and our subject matter at hand. I think let's start before we dive right into Fall Kickoff. I was going to start with a icebreaker question, but you know what? I'm going to hand it off to Jackie to kick us off with a icebreaker question, since this is the Fall Kickoff meeting.
What is the favorite Halloween costume either you have ever donned or seen on someone else? I will start by saying, I'm just going to go with one that I wore, which is a labor-themed costume, which is, appropriate for what's going on right now. During the NBA lockout in 2012, I dressed up as the NBA lockout. I wore the NBA logo and I put chains and a big lock around myself, and that was that. Michelle,
this is coming from our sports writer, of course.
Yes, I'm a sports journalist, so that is where that came from. Michelle, I see your hand is up. Go
Thank you. Yes. Well, my favorite Halloween costume was one that I sewed myself. It was a penguin costume, and it won honorable mention in some contest. I do love Halloween. I think it's a wonderful holiday, and thank you for asking.
I will just go in the order of my grid here, and if you want to pass, just by all means, go ahead. But I'm going to hand it off to Madam Prez. Angela, what you got?
Well, in high school, I always came as a cheerleader because that was so simple and easy. I will say, and at my company for the past 8 years, they take Halloween very seriously. So it is, each year we try to think of what can we dress up as. This year we're leaning towards the many faces of Barbie and Ken. So and also including gender neutral, because we're trying to be all inclusive. And so that's where we're looking at doing. And I will hand off. And again, if you'd like to pass, or if you just want to raise your hand and let us know, because I also want to be mindful of time, but go for it. If there's anyone else, like, raise your hand.
And actually, before we continue, I just want to check with Cindy Marie. Is your heart
Right.
out at 2:30?
Well, I can go a little after that. I just won't carpool with some people I was going to carpool with
Oh,
to
okay.
the
Well,
celebration.
I'm thinking
Yeah,
we
let's-
should actually give
Yeah,
some
we can-
people time to think of their icebreaker and instead pivot to Cindy Marie, who I believe Angela is going to introduce, just because I definitely want you to carpool environment. Yes.
Yeah, we don't want to
do
miss.
it.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, I'm going to
Thank
hand
you.
it off to Barbara to do the introduction. And for those who have anything, feel free to drop it in the chat, and that's how we'll just look in there and see what are the other costume ideas were. But this afternoon, we are pleased to introduce our newly appointed local league coach, and Barbara is going to give us information on Cindy Marie Apsey. Barbara, handing it off to you.
Okay, thank you. So today y'all are going to learn what a local league coach is. It's something fairly new within the league, and is actually an updated version of management training advisors, for those of you who might remember that. So Cindy Marie Apsey, is that how you say your last name? Apsey, right?
It is
Thank you.
Absy, yes.
She's been appointed to be our state league liaison, mentor, friend, and go-to person when we have questions about all things league. As you can tell by this basic description of who and what she is and does, local league coaches are league members with a lot of league experience. Local leagues around the state are assigned a coach by the LWVSM. So, a brief bio here. Cindy Marie Apsey is a North Dakota native. She obtained a BA in psychology in 1976 from the University of North Dakota before relocating to Phoenix, Arizona, where she worked as a psychiatric hospital during graduate school. She had so in 1980 she moved to San Luis Obispo. And in 1983 joined the SLO, which is the abbreviation, County District Attorney's Office. Several years later, she was appointed as director of their Victim and Witnesses Services Division and remained in that position for the next 27 years. A woman of stability here. Her responsibilities included the oversight and training of 17 staff members and volunteers, protocol and policy development, and participation on local and state task forces and advisory councils. In 2007, she joined the LWV of San Luis Obispo County, serving one board term as program director. That's what I am, by the way. I'm program director right now for the LWVSM. Program director, and in 2015-16, facilitated a higher education study. She rejoined the board in 2018, served as co-president from 2018 to 21, and then as president the next 2 years. Currently, she chairs the nominating committee, and in September 2023, was appointed as an LWVC local league coach, which we also call LLC. She believes that local leagues can thrive if we create and sustain a significant community presence through vigorous education, advocacy, and collaborations. And I think that the one thing I noted in your bio that we have in common is a love of animals. I would also point out Natalia within that discussion as well. She volunteered a group with the Marine Mammal Center. Were you saying something? No. Oh, she's making sourdough. You can see by the picture there.
Sorry, I'm feeding
Anyway,
my sourdough
that's
starter
it.
because I'm making sourdough crepes, which don't worry, I'll share.
Okay. Anyway, Cindy Marie has volunteered on a rescue crew within Marine Mammal Center, which is an amazing center. So if you all get to San Luis Obispo area, go check it out. And now I will turn the floor over to you, the virtual floor, Cindy Marie.
Thank you. Thank you for that nice introduction, Barbara. And it's a pleasure to be here and see all these energized faces starting a new league year. Yay, we've definitely got our work cut out for us, don't we? We just had our opening meeting this morning and we featured our opinion editor from our local newspaper. And I think we all know how local news and journalism is really under attack right now. So, and so necessary to democracy at the local level, which is really, you know, where it all starts. So I'm new to this local league coach thing, so I will not be an expert for a while, if ever, but I am a quick learner, and if I can't help you with your questions and concerns, I'm pretty good at ferreting out information, so I'm happy to do that for you. And just I'm here as a resource, as Barbara indicated, and a sounding board, a communication link between, you know, your league and the state folks. And again, I'm new to this, so I think this is my second or third week. So yeah, I can tell you that when I was president of our league, I frequently availed myself of our local league coach who hailed from Oakland. And, you know, we knew that we needed to work on our nonpartisan policy. We had issues with membership. We had a host of things that came up, and without fail, Deborah was so very helpful. If she did not immediately have the answer, she was able to refer me to someone who could serve as a resource or give us some ideas. And anyway, that worked so beautifully that, of course, I was inspired to apply to be an LLC. So I'll just, you know, I'm happy to attend as many of your meetings as you want to invite me to. If you want to have meetings without me, that's okay too. You know, it's your league, so you get to run it the way you want to run it. And I am primarily a resource to you and for you. So I don't know if there's any questions about, there's a couple things coming up that the local league coaches are working on. They're working on I think these are great ideas, a video training for officer positions, because sometimes it's not entirely clear what the different positions do. So that's a work in progress. Of course, the October presentation on nonpartisanship, that I don't think they've announced the date of that yet. I was looking before our meeting started. I didn't find a date, so I think that's still to be announced. But do try to attend that, because this nonpartisan, especially during an election season, is always a hot potato, isn't it? And then Sacramento is going to be piloting, the Sacramento League will be piloting a regional league training model that they hope to roll out then, as the name suggests, regionally. And then of course, DEI issues continue to be a very important area for the entire, you know, bandwidth of leagues. So the LLCs are working on that as well, and how to be of more assistance to local leagues in that regard. So those are a couple things I can share. I don't know if there's any questions. It's great meeting everyone. You know, I hate to sign off so quickly, but you know, yeah.
I think we did have one question, Cindy. I saw Michelle's hand go up. Michelle, did you have a question for Cindy?
Oh, thank you. I wasn't aware of the time frame. My question is, in what ways do you anticipate you are going to be able to help the respective leagues that you're assigned to? What do you think of as your portfolio, so to speak? What kinds of issues and questions do you think you'll be addressing with the leagues to which you're assigned? Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, I think of myself as an idea person primarily. So, and you know, you just can't, when you are, you just know you are, you can't help it. They just pop into your head. So, like, you know, some are great and some are not so great, but that kind of goes with the territory. So I do have a lot of ideas. I'm a very avid researcher, so I like to come bearing facts and information and have that all be very solid before committing myself or anyone else to a course of action. I would say I'm very thoughtful about the league's history and our mission, and that's always and the importance of our, you know, dual role of education and advocacy, and how sometimes those can seem to almost conflict, but they really don't. I mean, if you really carry it out, they really don't. And you know, since the very beginning, the league has both been nonpartisan in terms of candidates and political offices, and yet very much tuned into advocacy. I mean, how could we not be when, you know, the suffragists were imprisoned and, you know, starved and good knows beaten. Anyway, so I am passionate about the league. I love the league. Collaboration is so important. Growing a membership, we did grow our membership. We about quadrupled our membership over a couple of years. That was really the result, I think, of our, we sued our county board of supervisors for a bad redistricting map. And people that had kind of forgotten about us or never knew we existed, you know, when we got on the microphone and we wrote letters to the editor and we did op-eds and so on and so forth. I mean, it was like, wow, we didn't know the league was, you know, a powerhouse, but it looks like you are. And that really attracted people. That really attracted people. So that's where I think the advocacy, both the education and advocacy, are just really such beautiful contributions we give our communities, and we just need to be proud of those and kind of wave our own flag. So did that help more than you ever wanted to know? Okay.
Thank you. That was an excellent question, because I know that was in my mind as well. It's like, I'd like for her to elaborate on how you envision yourself. And I know, first of all, open invitation. I will make sure that you are included in all of the monthly invites. You're on that that cadence for emails that goes out reminding everyone of our meeting date and time. And in addition, I know myself and Jackie and Barbara probably be very interested in just hearing specifically how the membership grew, the ideas around that, because that's where we are. We're always looking at growing the membership. And so we're excited to work with you, and we look forward to working.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome, and I look forward to working with you too.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I love your name, by the way. The Fall Kickoff is so much sassier than opening meeting, that I think we might have to steal your name.
Oh, we're sassy here, just you wait.
Okay. Okay.
Barbara looks like she had one more. She had her hand up. So, Barbara.
I was just going to say that our local league is part of a much larger organization. And sometimes questions come up locally that we can't answer locally and need some input from, or there's something that a lot of local leagues have run into this. They'll do something and it doesn't quite mesh with state guidelines or procedures, and they get called on it. So
yeah,
Cindy Marie becomes our link to the state league and someone that we can consult with anytime any of those issues might arise. If we have a question or if someone questions us, and if we can't answer it. I mean, very often we can answer whatever that question may be, but sometimes maybe not. And in that case, Cindy Marie is going to be a very valuable resource. So thank you.
Thank you. And, you know, having worked for so many years in a district attorney's office on the kinder, gentler side of things, I might add, the victim services piece. But, you know, when you're working with attorneys and judges and investigators day in and day out, I mean, you know, you've got your policies and procedures down so that there's no question that you're on the right path, because, you know, you don't want to get sideways with that. So yeah, I'm very tuned into that as being an important thing for all of our leagues to be aware of. So look forward to working with everyone, and I'll say goodbye now. Bye.
Bye, Cindy. Thank you so much again. So Barbara, you kind of touched a little bit on exactly who we are as far as what the League of Women Voters is. Just for those who are new to the organization or interested in joining, as Barbara mentioned, the League of Women Voters of Santa Monica is part of the larger organization, the League of Women Voters, which is national, and we have our state chapter as well. We are a nonpartisan, nonprofit, member-based political organization. Nonpartisan means we never support or oppose candidates for office. As a matter of fact, each electoral year, we actually have a candidate forum. So we're able to hear from all the candidates that are running who'd like to share their values, their platform. We do take positions, however, on issues including ballot measures or legislations at all levels of the league. We have a network of state and local leagues throughout the country that share the same basic values. In California, along with some other states, we also have county level leagues. And so the League of Women Voters of Santa Monica, however, was founded in 1934. You might notice that our structure mirrors that of the levels of government. So our areas of authority are geographic levels we serve. So therefore, the League of Santa Monica serves primarily Santa Monica and is also available to provide service to Malibu. However, the League of Women Voters of California serves the entire state of California, as does the National League. I'm getting tongue-tied, I need more water, that serves the entire country. The league, as I mentioned, was founded by Carrie Chapman Catt in 1920, just 6 months before the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was ratified, giving women the right to vote after a 72-year struggle. So that is why it's ever so important that we make sure everyone has a voice and that voice is able to be acknowledged through the voting process, more importantly. And that time, it encouraged them to use, like we say, their power to participate in shaping public policy. So from the beginning, the League has been an activist, member-based organization whose leaders believe that citizens should play a critical role in advocacy. It was then, as it still is now, a nonpartisan organization. The League founders believed that maintaining a nonpartisan stance would protect the fledgling organization from becoming mired in the party politics of the day. I'm not going to go into deeper because we see that in Santa Monica. However, the League members were encouraged to be political themselves by educating citizens about and lobbying for government and social reform legislation, which is why discourse, civil discourse is so important. And that is something that we truly value. So as we've moved through time and evolved, the phrase educating citizens has been expanded to include our communities, the people who live and work in the United States. As an organization, we are always working on vital issues of concern to members and the public. And fundamentally, our overall focus related to all our work is making democracy work. So now I'd like to turn it over our virtual floor to Jackie Pepper, our member. She's our board of directors member, as well as serving as director of membership. And she's on our leadership team. Handing it off to you, Jackie.
Hey, everybody, it's me again. You'll notice in my spiel, there is some repetition, piggybacking off of what Angela said, but especially for new members or people who aren't super familiar with the structure, hopefully the repetition will help to establish the foundation of the organization. So as Angela previously alluded to, the League of Women Voters is more than 100 years old and was formed by suffragists after the passage of the 19th Amendment to educate the newly enfranchised electorate. The freshly formed league also took stands on issues like education, city planning, and good governance, setting a precedent for today's nonpartisan advocacy work. Becoming a member of the League of Women Voters Santa Monica also gives you membership in the National League, which plays a vital role in fighting voter suppression and expanding voter access. It also recently has taken a strong stance in support of maintaining the rights consecrated by Roe v. Wade. The National League has enshrined the principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion into its bylaws, setting an example followed by all the leagues around the country, including, of course, ours right here in Santa Monica. Membership in the Santa Monica League also gives one membership in the League of Women Voters of California, which, among other things, publishes nonpartisan information on state ballot measures and supports league positions at the state legislature. The State League also supports advocacy efforts fighting climate change and supporting criminal justice reform. To complete the trifecta, if you are a member of the League of Women Voters Santa Monica, you are also a member of the County League, which links leagues across LA County to work together for our regional goals. Try saying links leagues across LA County 10 times. It's a tongue twister. Here in Santa Monica, though, despite the constraints of the COVID era, we've continued outreach to our whole community with diversity, equity, and inclusion as our guiding principles. We will continue to provide our community with voter education materials, including webinars, which promote accessibility for people who are more comfortable at home or who need to be at home. We advocate for good governance, equitable housing policy, and a plethora of other local issues. In the near future, we'll host a new member orientation for, you guessed it, new members who join the League of Women Voters Santa Monica. And of course, we invite all of our members to get involved in whatever way they are most comfortable, whether it's voter education, advocacy, policy analysis, or any other aspect of the league that appeals to you. You're welcome to become an active member in our league. I have already done so, but I'm going to do it again, which is to drop some links in the chat right now, which are as follows. I dropped a link to our membership form in the chat for anyone who wants to renew their membership or become a new member. It's a Google form that upon filling it out will take you to PayPal to pay your dues. If you prefer to fill out the membership form on paper and pay dues with the check, I've also included a link to the printable paper form as well. You can always reach out to me with any questions or comments via email. I've put our email address in the chat. It's league@lwvsantamonica.org. If you have membership questions, please use my name, Jackie, or the word member somewhere in the subject line so I can quickly identify your message. Thank you so much for taking the time today to join us and learn more about the League of Women Voters Santa Monica, including an overview of our upcoming events with Barbara. Take it away, Barbara.
And Barbara, if I could stop you just for a moment, because someone did reach out regarding looking at an agenda. I do have one just to show you real quick of our lineup for today, which again is Fall Kickoff. So it's going to be quite different from the agenda that you're used to seeing. If y'all see this right here with my leaf, you see my leaf? So this is where we are thus far. We've had our land acknowledgement. We've done the welcome. We had our report from Barbara, a brief synopsis of, and we also heard from our league coach, Cindy. Jackie just spoke about membership. And so here we are. Barbara is going to give us an overview of upcoming activities. Again, the report at the top wasn't entirely a report. She just gave a snippet of a bit of the programming, but here's where we are now, really going into the chunk. As you can see, we are targeted to end around 4-ish, might be sooner, but this is what we have upcoming. Okay, I'll stop sharing. Turn it over, Barbara.
Okay, thank you. So you won't be surprised to hear that to fulfill our mission, we engage in a wide variety of activities. As most of you know, excuse me, and won't be surprised that I mentioned the newsletter. Our newsletter comes out twice a month to keep our members and community subscribers up to date on our activities. So please, when it comes into your inbox, review it and then read it. Or set it aside in a separate subdirectory so you can access it easily. It's an easy way to follow what we're doing and to get involved. All members are automatically subscribed. And if you're not a member and would like to receive our newsletter, you're welcome to subscribe. Just let me know. Of course, you're also welcome to join and be automatically subscribed. That was my membership spiel to build on what Jackie was talking about. So this year, we're looking at doing a number of things. First, we are currently in the process of filling out a City of Santa Monica Community Listening Session grant application. This is a $500 grant that can be used to make the event, whatever event that we want to do, the community listening session, an inclusive and accessible one. The grant money can be used for providing food, childcare, interpretation, paying a note taker, or other relevant accommodations. The idea being to create an environment where every voice can be heard. Applications, we're working on that now. They're open now, and they close on October 23rd. And for those who are interested in participating in this, all sessions must be held by November 22nd. So it's a short timeline. We're also looking at doing an update study this year. We have a land use planning policy position. The last time it was updated was 1985, believe it or not. So we have determined that the position is out of date and in need of updating. So we're going to form what's called an update study committee, and hope that to have the first part of the update done within this fiscal year. So please let us know if you're interested. If land use is one of your interest areas and you'd like to be engaged with this update study, please let us know. For those of you who might not be familiar with league studies and what their significance is to our advocacy work, the League of Women Voters at various levels takes action on issues only when we have a policy position addressing whatever the issue is. If we have not done an impartial study and come to consensus around key points, the League would then have no position and therefore could not take action. Fortunately, all levels of League engage in study and develop policy positions on various topics, and much of that work can be utilized by us at the local level, thus providing us with a wealth of authorities or authority to use in our advocacy. So as you can see, our action advocacy is based on a deliberative process, one that is well defined, and you'll understand during the election cycle why I have been very careful to make that particular statement. So in March, we mark Women's History Month with our annual Women Who Shape Santa Monica event. Most of you are familiar with that. Quite a number of you have been honored at our events, actually, as I look through the screen here. The theme this year for 2024 is Women Who Advocate for Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. And what we do in choosing the theme is we dovetail with the National Women's History Month theme. The theme this year acknowledges women and organizations committed to eradicating bias and discrimination for a positive future. It emphasizes that an uneven playing field hinders equity and justice for women from all backgrounds. Additionally, this theme underscores that diversity efforts are a marathon requiring a team committed to making transformative change. One of the things that we'd like to do this year, and maybe some of you will be interested in taking part in this, it's a little bit different. It's something that many leagues around the country have done, and we have done in past years at some point, and we would like to bring back because we see a great value to doing that. We would like to establish an observer board. As we come out of the COVID years, we're committed to extending and deepening our community engagement and our civic education activities. And one way to establish one way is to establish what the league calls our observer corps. For those of you who are not familiar with what that is or what it does, an observer is literally one who observes. This is not an advocacy or public speaking position. It is a league member who attends, either in person or virtually, any of the following public agency meetings that I'll list in just a moment, and regularly reports back to our board of directors on the issues raised in those meetings. It's information sharing. That not only enables us to track issues of importance to the league and to our community, it also enables us to more fully and accurately inform our members and subscribers to our newsletter and our community members. And it also informs various other league activities. So again, if you're interested, do contact me afterwards. So what do we, where do we send our observers? What bodies do they go and observe? So there are two groupings. One are the elected bodies and the other are appointed. All have legislative functions. So you won't be surprised to know that the elected ones are City Council, the SMMUSD School Board of Education, SMC Board of Trustees, and the Rent Control Board. And the appointed bodies, various commissions and committees of interest. Some of you are on some of those commissions and committees. So examples would be the Planning Commission, Housing Commission, Women's Commission, Public Safety Reform and Oversight Commission, and other city appointed bodies of interest. Education is, as a program area, is also one of major interest to us. We've currently been tracking, and that includes this year, probably next year, tracking some items that are before the LA County Committee on School District Organization. We're currently tracking 2 petitions before that body that, if adopted, will impact the structure of our school district and possibly our system of voting for members of the Board of Education. The former is a petition seeking to divide this school district into 2 districts. Most of you, I think, are familiar with that. That would be a Santa Monica Unified and a Malibu Unified School District. The second is a petition seeking to establish by-district voting in SMMUSD and and abolish the current at-large voting system. That is the petition. That particular petition seeks to establish voting districts, each of which would be represented by one person who lives in that district. So moving on, you won't be surprised to find out that most of the rest of our work will be involved engaged to the election as in the election related activities that our community has learned to expect over the years. Around the date, we'll be in service with educational activity and advocacy in which we support or oppose ballot measures and other issues that might arise during either the primary or general election, all of which are nonpartisan. These two function separate. So it's actively anticipated from everything that we can gather, and you won't find this surprising, that the 2024 election cycle, the primary in March and especially the general election in November, will require a lot of patience, focus, community outreach, civic education, and analysis and advocacy around issues. It will also require us to work with our current community partners and systematically expand our community partnerships. So don't worry, I'm almost done with this. During the we tend to be busy, and so we want everyone to understand what it is and why it is. During the 2022 election cycle, we added the following language that some of you heard to our candidate forum moderator script for the Board of Education. And we'll probably do so again next year if it's still needed. Our wish is that it won't be needed. And this is something that Dr. Karen Gunn read most wonderfully, actually, for the script, as part of the script. The targeted harassment and threats disinformation and intentional misinformation that have surfaced and been spread in the course of our local campaigns this year, and that's referring again to 2022, are a disservice to our voters, our larger communities, and those who stand for election and believe in our constitutional form of representative government. It is our hope that all campaigns return to a higher level of interaction. We stand by that statement and believe it is still true. And again, we hope that things will change in the next year before we start our candidates forum. In the fall of 2024, we look forward to co-hosting local candidates forums and events together with our community partners. In recent years, we've partnered with the Committee for Racial Justice, the CRJ, Santa Monica-Malibu PTA Council, SMM PTA Council, and the HRC, Human Relations Council of Santa Monica Bay Area. And we look forward, and some of our board members also belong to those particular organizations, and we look forward to those partnerships again this year. So stay tuned. Watch for more specific, there's going to be more specific information and opportunities for involvement. I'll include it in our newsletters going forward. So again, make sure to read it. It will be in your inbox at least twice a month. And that's it. And I would like to turn the floor over to, I believe, Angela now. Is that correct?
That is correct. Good afternoon. I believe Dr. Shelton might be planning to log in at 3. I know we're a bit shy of that. So I'm wondering if maybe we should take a couple of minutes break and come back while we wait, or I see thumbs up, or we can just have a chat for a little while. So I'm going to leave it open for y'all, but let's log back in. Not log back in because I don't want you logging out. Let's re-adjourn. Let's go on a 10-minute intermission and then come back at about 2:55. Okay.
I was going to share my favorite Halloween costume.
All
I
right.
was a bale of hay named Jude. So I made a box. I took a large cardboard box, glued hay all over it, got a name tag, and wrote Jude on it, and that was it. I was Hey Jude. I did win most creative costume at work. I was also a formal apology once where I wore a prom dress and a sash that said I'm sorry, and I handed out candy to which I had put little pieces of paper that said I'm sorry. That was a formal apology. If anybody wants to steal either of those, you're more than welcome to.
Okay, so your ideas are so good. During the COVID era, I have stopped giving candy because I don't want children breathing in my face at the door. I just don't want it. And I have dogs and they bark. So, I'm the mean person that turns their lights off now on Halloween, which I feel terrible about because I love Halloween. But I was thinking, what if I got some kind of lock box with a hole in it so you can stick your hand in, get some candy, and I would put a sign, 1 piece only, but I have a Ring doorbell so I can watch. And if I catch them doing something they shouldn't do, I can talk to them through the Ring doorbell and scare them as a joke and tell them to put back the 5 pieces of candy. Is that wrong or is that fun?
No, that's actually fun. The other thing you could do is you could build some sort of tubing that goes out to your front door. And when they ring the Ring doorbell, you just throw candy down the tubing.
Amazing.
That way you're not physically interacting with them and you can still give them, either treats or tricks.
A water slide, a candy chute. I like it. Okay.
Yes.
So clever.
Or a pulley system in a bucket.
And some folks actually do have a bowl of candy at their door and they have a note that says, please take 1 or no more than 3. So that's
but no one follows it.
I know, but
that's why I
love walking up with families because then you have the ones that younger the younger kids and their parents are like, now, it says we should only take 3.
Only
So
one.
let's be honest and only.
I don't know about you, but my house has steps up to the front door, and parents, they don't want to go up the steps. They
Oh,
just,
yeah.
they stay at the sidewalk. They are not monitoring their children. They just send them up the flight of stairs. And
Same at my house, yes.
Yeah.
My dog greets.
say that again, Barbara.
Dog greets all of the trick-or-treaters
Oh,
that have been coming to our house have been very respectful. So, they there's a little bit of separation, and I have them pull every piece that they would pick up out of the bucket is wrapped, separately wrapped. So, but
That's
there aren't
sweet.
as many as there were in previous years, I'll have to admit.
Does anyone else have a costume they want to share?
I'll share one. Mine that I am thinking of, you won't be surprised because it's an animal. It made me into an animal. It was a rabbit that my mother, our parents used to make our costumes by hand. So my mother had made this really nice furry full body costume. And it had ears that were, I don't know, really big ears, and they stood up. It had wiring and everything into them, so it was quite elaborate, and I've always remembered that. And the fact that I happen to be an animal person kind of made it even more special. So
You were a big bunny,
yeah, right.
a hare. That's really cute.
And I usually used to carry an iguana with me when I had my iguanas, and they were always a hit. Now it's the dog and the tortoise. Everybody greets the kids at the door.
Nice bunny emoji, Michelle. I respect that hustle right there. That was great. It's very good. Any other Halloween costume seekers?
well, my friend last year at work, and this is for the horror buffs out there. This might not be PC, but she came as Carrie. So she did the whole blood. She practiced getting all the makeup and everything together. So she had the blood coming down her face, and she had the gown. She had the sash,
Wow.
and the bouquet of flowers. And she won. She got a 60-inch flat screen. Like I said, our company is they're all about Halloween. We have team prizes and individual. So she won individual for her Carrie costume.
I mean, Carrie's, that's pretty hard to beat because that is a quintessential. Carrie is everything, man. I mean, that's
It is, and she nailed it. I was just like,
that's good inspiration. I like the Carrie.
Y'all
costume.
know, so y'all know the Meals on Wheels West Monster Bash that they have every year. Pre-pandemic, a couple of my friends and I were the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and we won group costume. That's group costume. We all had one of my friends had made stick horses. So she had made the heads out of cardboard, put them on the sticks, and we were all I was war, one of my friends was famine, another one was death, and then the other one was pestilence, and pestilence had she glued rats to all over her outfit. It was very cool.
I'm seeing Natalia's
Creative
theme of
bunch.
intellectual costumes, which really appreciate that.
I just really enjoy a good pun. I was also a serial killer one time. I had a rubber knife, and I grabbed a box of cereal, and before I left, of course, stabbed it with a real knife and painted some red nail polish around where I'd stabbed it. So I was a serial killer.
I love that one. It's so easy to do, but it
Yeah.
packs a big punch.
I mean, the other really, really easy one, you can wear whatever you normally have. you just need like a basket and a bunch of lemons. So you, and the name tag, your name is life, and you just go around handing people lemons.
That's nice.
Because when life gives you lemons.
Gotta make the lemonade. Now I want to dress up for Halloween, even though I won't be leaving my home. So what's the point? But
You can send us a picture.
you do it all for the
The
gram
point
these days, right? Michelle.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
has her
I
hand
know
up.
this is being recorded, and I guess I'll have to confess something. This is a little bit between self-deprecating and serious. I dressed up as a girl around 6 years old, I think, as a Native American girl. I am not Native American. Okay. Is this correct or not correct? Today, I'm not sure. I guess it depends a little bit on how you carry it off, whether it's respectful and all those kinds of things. And I think this is not a bad segue into our discussion with the superintendent. There will be little children from our schools going around at Halloween dressed up in various costumes. And is this a difficult question, or is this something left up to individuals? How do people approach that today? Thanks.
That's a very interesting question. I think you're definitely covered by a few decades, of time, where I don't know that anyone, even if it's deemed today as cultural appropriation or wrong or whatever, I think you're covered for it being several decades ago, and you probably shouldn't feel guilt about it, but it is a responsible thing to consider now in a different time, in a different era. Is that something that would still be appropriate? A friend of mine, their kid dressed up as Moana, and I thought about it. I'm like, is that okay? And I don't know. I'm not really sure of what the answer is. It's probably different depending on who you ask, right?
So Michelle, the good news is probably that having done that and now living in today's environment, that it's an experience you look back on and think more deeply about. And that's a good thing.
Well, it's not entirely in the past. I was asked by a group to comment on the use of skeletons hanging from trees in our city on Halloween. And some people were very adamant about the allusion to lynching. And I think it's a serious question how we celebrate the holiday and what metaphors and symbols we use.
That's very interesting. Wow. There's a house in my neighborhood where they just put their Halloween decorations up over the last weekend, and it is so violent. Like the imagery, there's corpses and like a doctor like chopping people up. I mean, it's so, and I'm not like a prude or anything like that, but I find it really disturbing. And they have a very young child who lives there, and clearly the family loves Halloween, but it's like so violent and in a front yard in public. And they've been doing it the last couple of years, and it is so weird. I don't think they've either not finished, or maybe they've decided to scrap the worst of it, because I haven't seen that super violent scene that they usually put out. I don't think it's up right now, but I'm just like, what are you doing? And like, the world's a violent place. I don't know that we need to like celebrate that, which is different. There's no, cultural element or allusion to lynching or anything like that, but just the sheer violence in a public setting is it's unsettling. Like, I'm just trying to walk my dogs, man, come on.
The bunny rabbit costume.
Yeah, it's no bunny rabbit, I'll tell you that. I don't think the bunny's gonna offend anybody, I hope.
Changing topics, Natalia, what are you cooking?
I am currently making sourdough crepes.
Wow.
So this is what I've got so far.
Wow, that looks pretty awesome. What are you putting in the crepes?
I have no idea yet. I'm just baking because I needed to feed my sourdough starter and I felt like making sourdough crepes. So don't worry, I will share. If anybody wants any, you let me know.
That
Sage-
sounds lovely.
Seiji's asking now.
They smell.
Mm.
Yes, we
So
can't smell them through the Zoom.
Right, that'd be nice.
But that's probably a good thing that we can't, because then we might all have to be pounding on your door.
Yes.
Angela?
I'm currently not at my door, but
I was going to say that. I didn't look. It doesn't look like your normal office with the. Yeah. How did it work out with your leak? Are you back, or is that they fix it, or?
He's
Is it still
staying with
working?
me.
Hey, yeah, no.
I'm in the kitchen. She's in her office.
Perfect.
So Angela, are you there?
She's taking a phone call.
Oh, okay. Oh, she might be checking to see if our speaker is going to be here pretty soon.
You might be talking to them.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that was Dr. Girardi.
Oh,
So Dr. Shelton is logging in right now. I was like, I got a bit of an emergency here. Because I know today was also the day where they had the college informational day at Samuel High. So, and I believe it's probably just now getting over. So, I sent him the information. He's like, yes, he's logging in right now. I was like, okay. Isn't it wonderful that we still get assistance from our former superintendent? He was like, I was like, hey, I might need you as backup. He's like, no, I'm in a meeting, but you know, I do it. I was like, oh.
That's funny. And
Amazing.
yeah. May
So-
I, since we're waiting, he's going to be logging in, may I introduce someone?
Absolutely. I know who you're going to say. Go for it.
No, do you know what I'm going to say? I don't know if you know what I'm going to say.
I think I'm a
Erica,
two.
are
Go ahead, Barb.
Yeah, Erica, are you here? You don't have a picture or anything on your screen. Ah, there
I
you
do
are.
now. I do now. Hello.
Now she's got a green border. I wanted to introduce Erica Bell to you all. She's the current SMM Santa Monica-Malibu PTA Council President. And she's been doing an amazing job. As some of you know, I'm still the league's liaison to PTA Council. And a lot of what she does is so in alignment with what we do and what we believe, as her organization is too, but she's been doing it really, really well. And I've been very impressed. So I invited her to join us today. And Erica, I'm really pleased that you're able to join us. Can you make your picture show?
Can you see me?
Yeah.
We can see you.
Oh,
Thank
good. Okay.
So glad
Yes.
you're here, Erica.
Thank you so much for having me and inviting me. And I'm glad to be here and glad to hear more about the league. This has been great. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Barbara.
And you're welcome. And we look forward to working with PTA Council when it comes to the candidates forums and other events as well.
Yes, absolutely. We appreciate that. Yeah. Enjoy appreciate the collaboration. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Angela, you want to take it away now that the good doctor has arrived?
Absolutely. Welcome, Dr. Antonio Shelton. I'm going to do a formal introduction before we hand off to our guest speaker. Dr. Shelton is newly appointed as our Santa Monica-Malibu Unified School District Superintendent. We are fortunate to have him as a superintendent, as he is responsive to the students and staff of the school district, as well as the adults in the lives of our students.
Angela, are you sure he can hear you?
Uh-oh. Can he not? Oh, you can't.
Sorry to interrupt you, but it looked a little.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Can you hear us now, Dr. Shelton?
It looked that way, Sherry. Thanks for bringing that up.
Thank you. I was on a roll. I'm sorry. Well, let me see. Let me put in the chat. We're introducing you. Do you want to just your?
It looks good, Kathleen.
Maybe ask him to log out and log back in again. That sometimes works for me.
Oh,
Well,
there
it
he
looks like
goes.
he did. You know what I usually do too is I run an audio test live in Zoom, and it'll just test all the speakers. And then if that doesn't work, you have the option of switching to your telephone while you're still visual. It's a whole thing. I've
Oh, I didn't even know that was
I
a
learned
thing.
all the workaround. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Keep up, Jackie. Keep up.
Learn something new every day.
Absolutely. Let's
His
see.
face is gone. Did he log off?
Yeah, he logged back off because his audio isn't he's checking his audio. So it'll take him a moment to log back in.
So close yet so far.
You know what? I can still I'm trying because I want to be mindful of his time as well. I was like, I could just still read his bio while we're waiting, and then bam, when he comes, we just log right in. Okay. I'll resend him the Zoom link. I'm multitasking over here. All right, to continue on, we know that he has worked for the district. I say adults because this also did come out in conversation, just talking to parents at Welcome Back to School night the other day, is that we know that for many families is not necessarily the parent that is raising that child. We have foster parents, we have aunts, uncles, grandparents, we have loved ones who've taken over guardianship for our students. So that's why we say the adults that are in the lives of our children. Dr. Shelton, I was just reading your bio. Can you hear me? Looks like he's still connected.
Hear
But we
anything.
hear you.
Hello.
We hear you.
Can you hear me?
We do. So let's
I
see.
can't hear you.
So if you click on your microphone, there is.
Let me try my phone.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You
I
can
am not
switch
sure
over.
what's going on.
But you can switch over. If you click on the microphone, on the button, it shows switch to phone audio. And you click on there and you switch to your
Can't
phone
hear
audio.
anything.
Yeah. You want me to share my screen? So everyone learns at once, right? We can do that. We can do it that way too. Let's see.
Wait,
So here, oh yeah, you're right. It's not going to show it. You're right. It's not going to show that particular
if
part.
Dr. Shelton can't hear us, then he might not be able to hear the instructions on how to like fix it. Does anybody
Because
want to
that
drop it in the
makes
chat?
sense. Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
I think he might
It's
try
all
to.
good. Teamwork. That's what we're all here for.
I tell you. And I know where that is because it also depends on, like, sometimes Teams, Microsoft Teams doesn't work for me. Sometimes Google Meetings doesn't work. It's a journey for these virtual meetings. But anywho, let's see. So Dr. Shelton brings 23 years of educational experience to his position, with 18 years of that in administrative roles. So for the past year, he served as the executive director of secondary schools. So if you think about that, Dr. Drotti was already creating that succession plan, right? Hey, do you hear us? Yeah, okay. Can you hear us? Yes. All right. I was singing your praises.
Oh, Doc, you're muted. Now you're muted.
Anywho, let's just get into it. All right. Without further ado, here's Dr. Antonio Shelton sharing with us his vision for the district. And you want to just talk about, I want to ask you, as you kick it off, what is your why? What is your why that brings you here all the way up to this point in your career?
Well, good. What is this? Afternoon, evening to everybody. It's good to see everybody. First of all, I'm glad I've had the opportunity just to sit with you all a little bit. That's a great question. You know, my why. My why is my mom, my dad, my family, my grandparents. They instilled in me the importance of education. And it's something that I believe in so much that I felt it was important that it be a part of my life forever. And, you know, when you're seeing how it changed and made an impact on you as an individual, it just becomes a part of you. You know, we laugh in education that we've been to, especially when I was a principal, how many proms we went to and how long we've been in school. And when you add it up, you've been in school most of your entire life. Some of us since we were 3 years old, and now I'm 47. So it's like your entire life of 40 plus years has been all about education. I don't know anything else. This is who I am. This is my calling. I know I'm supposed to be in this space. I know I'm supposed to be doing this. So why? Why is because of those individuals that I mentioned before. The foundation of who I am has been always about education, and I don't see any other way but education. So that's my why, and to make sure our kids are getting the same, if not better, experience than I had. And I know it can be done through education. And we all know that because we have experienced education as a stepping stone to the places that we hope to achieve if we haven't already achieved the successes in our lives, and also to make a better nation. We all know that through education, we make better citizens. We make, as I'm sitting here with you, we make better voters who make better decisions for the good of all people. So that's my why.
Oh, you go right ahead. We're gonna let you.
Oh, okay.
I have a message for us today. So
Yes. Well, first of all, I wanted to just share with you some things that are key to my success as a superintendent, or will be key to my success as a superintendent. And the first thing is diversity. Equity and inclusion. DEI is the foundation of all of the work that we will be doing as a school. You know, this year we started our school year off with telling stories, and the whole point about telling stories is allowing people to build connections to their school communities. Most of us come into a space and we don't know the individuals who are in the space. Even our kids, they walk into a room and they really don't know their teacher. They see the teacher. Many of us went to the grocery store as children, and we always said was, oh, look, that's my teacher. But what did we know about our teacher? What did we know about our principal? What did we know about our custodian? And as I started our school year, I said, we have to do three things: build a sense of curiosity. And that curiosity had to come from not only the teachers and those that are educating, but it had to come from our classified staff. And that had to be transferred to our students so that they, who are the ones that are in the classroom, can grow. Then I said to our staff that we have to create a sense of belonging. When a person feels connected to a system, they then belong. If we come into the space in the room without telling our story and creating these avenues for this connectedness, we can't build a diverse and equitable as well as inclusive environment. The last piece was empowerment. How do you feel empowered if you don't know who's in the space? How do you feel empowered if you haven't been given the foundational pieces to create the atmosphere to empower the individuals who are coming into the space? Which leads to all of this specifically focusing on how we support and provide opportunities and access for all of our students. So when we have the underlying piece of DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and then you add in the sense of belonging, the development of curiosity, and then you empower people to move from the space that has been established and move them into the environment that will create productive citizens is key, which leads us to the opportunities and access. I want to also make sure that everyone understands that we haven't forgotten about the importance of student academics and how academics and social emotional success are conveyed and shared through the building of diversity and equity inclusion. It's important for us to create and develop high quality schools and successful students to strengthen our community. We want our students to stay in Santa Monica. We want our students to be a part of our community. And as you know, many of our schools are declining in enrollment. And how do we do that? Create great experiences for them. We all chose to move to a specific place because we felt a connectedness to that place. We're getting to a point, as you all know, where our kids and our future students who hopefully are off at college or at trade school, we hope they come back, but there's not necessarily room for them to come back to because of the cost. And we are trying to help them to provide them with opportunities in education to see that, hey, we may be able to help you create those avenues to come back as we provide courses that will allow them to create a journey and a pathway that supports the ideals that they have that they then can build into our community. I think it's important for the League of Women Voters to help us create a future community and leaders around the world. I think with the increased poverty that has existed in our society, what has happened is a lot of our residents who were once students are no longer returning. And I need help to figure out, how do we get them back? How do we, when I have an opportunity to hire individuals who had graduated from SAMO, is exciting. It's invigorating because they know what we stand for. They know what we believe in. And the question around diversity, equity, and inclusion is not a question. It's a part of who they are because they went through our system. One of the things that we have started to do to ensure that some of this is happening is hire those individuals who have graduated. I know over at Edison, there are two paraprofessionals, two supporters of our school and went through Edison, who are training right now to become teachers so that we can have a pool within that school community. We've created partnerships with Pepperdine right now, where we have four, I think 2 or 4 over at SMASH, who are student teaching so that they understand who we are looking for. Our goal is also to hire students of color. And as you know, the more difficult it is to live in a space, the harder it is to get people of color to move to that space, specifically because of the cost that exists within our neighborhoods. The other part of this is we are going through extensive modernizations at all of our schools. And this is needed. Most people don't realize we hadn't had anything new in our schools for 70 years before many of the projects began. And that's a big, big, big deal because the buildings create a sense of pride for our students. When you go into a dilapidated space or a space that's not really exciting to be a part of, it brings down the morale. But we have had the opportunity since 2015, specifically at SAMO, to have the innovation building, to have in 2015, to have the discovery building here in 2021, and now the exploration and gold gym in 2024. So, you see in the newspaper that, hey, their schools are not that great, but our schools are great. And we're moving in the direction to increase the greatness of our schools. I believe we are producing, and I know we are producing high-level, highly qualified individuals who will become productive citizens. And I see some of you on this call right now. You've had products that went through our schools that are successful individuals in the community, and you help to create that. We appreciate your ongoing support of the community for the bonds that have been provided to our schools. The last one passed overwhelmingly in 2018 by more than 70% of the Santa Monica voters. And I believe we put that money to good use, and you're seeing and your students are benefiting from those monies. More work it needs to be done, requiring more funding in the future. And I need your support. I absolutely need your support. The next bond that we more than likely will go for will be a focus on our elementary schools. You know, when we have young families that are moving into our community, we need to provide the highest quality facility for those families. And many of those schools do not have those spaces that we see in some of our private schools. And we want to compete. We want to be competitive. We want people to have a hard decision to make when it comes to our public schools in Santa Monica. And to me, I want to make us the only option that they have. I don't want them to pour $40,000 and $50,000 into some space that really is not a part of their community. Our public schools are a part of their community. Our public schools are actually what makes their resale of their value of their home go up. Our public schools are top notch. Not much was done at all for our facilities in the latter part of the 20th century, and we're in the midst of catching up. And then that's not good, but we are moving in that direction. New methods of teaching and learning, including more collaboration and exploration. It all requires a different approach to how we plan for our facilities. If you had an opportunity or ever have an opportunity, and I am willing to host you ladies one Saturday if you would like, to go over to SAMO and see what's there and see the space so that you can put the positive vibes out there about voting for the next opportunity for the bond. But these spaces, the doors are opening. Our collaborative environment creates not just, and this is the key to this, we don't just build a classroom, we build an entire building that is the classroom, that allows teaching to occur not only in a direct learning approach, but also when the teacher can walk right outside the classroom and she sees a small group working that has been set up, and the walls are made for them to continue to write on and hook their laptop up to or their computer to, and they can continue to work in those spaces. It is key. You know, environmental concerns are also a part of our mindset and planning. And with solar and other renewable energy sources, if you go to the top of many of our buildings, it's all solar. It's all reusable energy. We are conscious of our environment, and soon we will pass a resolution that will even create greater focus on renewable energy and creating a green school. And you know how this happened? Our students. Our students. They came to me earlier this year when I first was on board as the new superintendent, and asked, "Hey, can we do a resolution to the board?" And I said, "Let's look at what you formulated." And I asked them to go back because they asked, you know, our kids, they're sometimes more progressive than we can even handle. And I shared with them, I said, "I need you to go to some of the people that this will impact." And so they reached out to the union, the teachers union, and did a presentation to them. I said, "Come to our principals meeting and talk to the principals about what it is that you want to do." I said, "Come to the board and share a little bit of information." So they shared some information with our board. This group of individuals are making things happen and also holding us accountable to what it is that we will pass, our board will pass as far as a resolution is concerned about sustainability. So our plan, our district created a sustainability plan that addresses 8 areas: climate, education, while there is a focus on engagement; energy efficiency, which relates to renewables; water, which is related to solid waste; transportation; food, nutrition and wellness; green buildings. And that's what our kids are holding us accountable for. And our leadership team will be reviewing that resolution that will go before the board. I know a lot of people are also thinking about our conversations with the city around the civic. This is a mixed bag. I know that. We know that. In a discussion with the city to bring it back for our school, we're in a discussion right now to bring it back for school and community use. We believe we are potentially the right agency to bring back this community gym into its past glory. We will respect the history and the landmark designation. And we'll also, we've shared, as I've shared with the city manager, we know that there are a lot of people that may have other thoughts about the school doing this. And what we've shared with the city manager, go out, do what you need to do. And if there's somebody else that can do it, great. If there isn't anybody else that can do it, and we can, let us have an opportunity to do it. But I know that's controversial, but I don't want to stay away from controversial issues. I want to bring them to the forefront and we can talk through it. There has not been a formal proposal. We're just talking to them about it. And at the end of the day, if there is no one that can come forth and provide a feasible opportunity to make something happen, I believe it would benefit our campus. It's a crowded space. Most campuses have about 52 acres of land. That's what the California, CDE talks about when building a school. We have about 27 acres. So we have a baseball field that's on top of a softball field. We have a temporary stands for our football games. And we build up and our buildings look huge because we have to go up versus going out. So I just wanted to share that with you so that you know what our thoughts were as a school district led by our school board. This is a lengthy process. Nothing is happening immediate, but I wanted to make sure that you are aware of what we were doing and why we were doing it. Our goal this year is to continue our assessments to ensure that instruction is provided in a manner in which we see where our students are being successful, and then providing intervention in areas where they're not achieving. Our other piece is to ensure that our finances are in good order. And these are things that are going to be difficult in conversations with our community, specifically our school community, our teachers, and our staff. But it's our reality that we must look at what we're doing and how we're doing it, and do it with fidelity, and do it with an understanding that we are using the dollars that our community has given to us responsibly. And that is our hope as your superintendent of your schools, to ensure that our students are getting what they need, but at the same time, making sure that we're doing it in a manner that is fiscally responsible. Those are the things that I wanted to share with you today. It's a lot. I know it probably is overwhelming. And what I'm going to do is take questions that you have of me. I don't mean to take over from you, Angela. That's your job. But I just wanted to, I will answer. Let me close this door real quick.
You got it. I love this. Let me see. I want to actually start with Jackie, because Jackie is an alumni, and I would like to give deference to those who did attend Samo High and the other schools within the elementary and middle schools. Have them have questions for you first, because this is deeply near and dear for all of them. And then I'll start, as a parent and others that chime in. But I'm going to start with you, Jackie.
Sure. Hey, Dr. Shelton. My name is Jackie Pepper. I am a proud Samo High graduate, class of 2001. Raise the roof. I was Vicky the Viking and voted most spirited of my senior class. So I love all things Samo. I went to Will Rogers and Jams and, the whole South Side legacy. It runs deep here. And I thought Samo High was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And now as an adult, hearing complaints about this and that, and having friends who are parents of children going through schools, I see things through such a different prism. I think as a child, everything seems so rosy and, well, when you're lucky, like I am. Everything was very rosy as a child growing up. But you mentioned an interesting point about people coming back to the community, and I just wanted to give first an anecdote. One of my favorite teachers growing up was Corey Goldberg, who is a history teacher at John Adams Middle School. Yeah, Corey G. She was just fantastic, and thanks to Facebook, which is a hellscape of a website, it is good for some things, that now we can be friends with our teachers as graduates of schools and as grown-ups. And one of my classmates, Ashley Alexopoulos, she's now a teacher at JAMS with her old teacher, Corey Goldberg. So we were her students and now they're teaching together. So I know those are just two people, but I think your idea is really wonderful. The more the merrier when it comes to alumni. I am not a teacher. I'm a sports journalist, and I've spoken at Samuel High Career Days, but I really love the school, and as someone without children, I wonder what kind of opportunities there are for me to get involved. I would love to make an impact in some way. How do I do that? Maybe there are ways that already exist. Maybe that's a brainstorm session for another time, but if there's anything that sticks out to you, I'm all ears.
Well, I'm glad you're an alum. This is exciting to see when our students are successful. One of the things I always say about how do you get involved? By contacting those individuals that made an impact on you. Where do they need support if there is a teacher? Because, for instance, at SAMO, we made some changes during my time where we had opportunities. For example, we had this thing called Flex Time, which gives kids opportunities to explore careers. You are a sports journalist, so if you connect with some of our English teachers or our principal there, she may have an opportunity where she would allow you to come in to speak about sports journalism. I know for a fact that our kids would be interested in it because it's a big deal to talk about sports, and sports is such a big part of our community as well as the students' world. You also, this esports thing is coming and not coming, it's here. And we're moving toward having an esport I don't even know how you name it,
Sports
but
team and esports club. Yeah.
not even a elective, a team actually,
Wow.
and
Yeah, you
convert
have it.
and convert a space on campus into that. But you speaking to that, also naturally helping us with these things that we want to pass as far as bonds, and telling your story of how the school supported you, because you're absolutely right. Majority of our kids, 90% of our kids, nothing's ever wrong. They go to school and they enjoy their life. They don't look at maybe there's something missing over here, or that the school may not have this, or the kids enjoy each other and being in the space. Therefore, they don't look at things the same way as we do as adults. But my big thing for all of us on this page and on this call right now is that how do we engage in this process? One of the pieces is encouraging, as a member of the League of Women Voters, encouraging our students to get registered to vote. And creating a partnership with our ASB. I know they have done that quite a bit as far as making sure kids, when they get eligible to vote. That's another way to me that we get our kids connected to issues, that they would join even this organization. And is there an organization that's connected to you? And how does that relate to maybe a club on campus? To connect, to grow your membership as they transition from high school to adulthood. And I think those things are key, because most of our kids, everything is through social media for them. How do we connect them back to the grassroots things that made it possible for them to have access to what they currently have access to?
Do you allow outside groups to come on to do voter registration on campus?
what we do is we work through ASB. When if you send an email to Ms. Cruz or our student government, I can't even think, student activities director. Wow, I haven't been gone that long. But to our student activities director, she would be able to connect on how you could support them, and they could tell you when they do their voter registration drive, and then that way you all could come then. But that's how they make those connections. That's how they emphasize the importance of voting as well.
Great, thank you. Barbara. You're muted, but you're up.
I muted myself.
And Barbara has grandchildren at our schools. I saw her grandson. He was dressed in his football uniform last night.
Yeah, he's a freshman. He's the 5th Enoch Sugu grandchild to be at Samuel.
Yes, I've had quite a few of them.
Yeah, our son and his wife have been. Erin is our daughter-in-law, and I'm sure
I know. I love Erin.
So yes, so do we actually. A couple things just from what you said. There have been times in past years that we have done voter registration on the campus, and we do have someone who is coming back to do voter registration for us, Kathy Gentili, for those of you who remember Kathy. We also have had at one point a chapter on campus, and one of the staff people over in, oh God, what was it called? In one of the departments actually was the on campus adult who was the person who was our link there for that. And they were active for a couple years. And we also worked through them for voter registration and things like that. We also work with your PTA over there, Santa Monica PTA Council, but also the PTA on campus. And we can work with them also to do things like that. I was really pleased with what you said, because I know things have changed and I haven't physically been on campus for a while. And so need to catch up on certain things. Let's see. And thank you for Ms. Cruz's name. We can work out, we'll give that to our people who work on voter registration. And that's, I think, what I picked up just for now, but obviously there are, what you said is totally right. We have several ways, actually many ways, to be involved with each other as organizations. One more comment and then I'll be quiet so others can talk. You talked about the ballot measures, bond measures. Over the years, the League has been very supportive about the bond measures. One thing that we do have, though, is a very specific process for taking positions on things such as ballot measures. It's a whole in-depth analysis process and vote by our board to do that. So, and to do that, we also need the language of the bond measure. So when you start thinking about it, please remember us, because we'll need the language. But also sometimes the district in past years, I used to work in the superintendent's office. When I did, that was in the 1990s. I'm aging myself, but anyway. Things that we brought together was a committee made up of community people and organizations within the district. And I think Sherry was probably on some of those committees, Sherry Davis. And
Indeed, I was.
Oh, see, I knew that. So it was sort of a study to determine the viability, et cetera, of going out for a bond measure. And so I would hope that you would keep us in mind as maybe one of the community representatives that would be on such a committee should you bring one together.
Absolutely.
So that's my spiel for today.
Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too. And congratulations on being our superintendent.
Thank you.
Kathy Larson, and then the esteemed other doctor, Karen Gunn.
Hi, thank you for coming. I appreciate everything that you shared with us. My question was if the district works with the city on the civic center and you come to a collaborative agreement, what is the district's plan for the civic and how do you plan to fund your plans?
You know, one of the things, thank you for the question. We would fund it, we would go back to you all. It would only happen as a separate bond issue. And we did a feasibility study already. It is available online. You can also review our plans online as well at the board, at one of our previous board meetings. What we would do with it is it allows us to extend our campus, our Samo High campus. We have a Samo High plan. And I want everybody to know we're going to complete that plan whether we get the civic or not. It's just the plan would just look different. The plan has already been made as far as what it would look like on our campus, as far as having this gymnasium, but also this would be a multi-use space. It would be a space specifically for our students, but also a space that can be utilized by the city with allowing different events to be in that space. We would keep the architectural integrity of the space. We would allow for the venue to be rented out. We've already talked about how many days the school would actually have to use it, and the times that the school would actually have to use it. And then the times that we would negotiate that the city has access to it. And also it would be a part of the facilities use process. So someone could rent it out for whatever the cost is. We've talked about whether or not we hire someone on outside a group to do the process of renting it to have events. Our thing is we would use it primarily as a gym, but it would be versatile enough or flexible enough that it would not only be utilized as a gym. Many people have put out there, we're just building a gym. We're not just building a gym. If we got it, it would be a multi-use, multi-purpose space. Do we believe we will have concerts like you have at SoFi and all of those other places? No. No one believes that will ever return to that style or that means of a venue, no matter who gets the venue. Those are things that we know that are factual. We would allow for there to be concerts if there is a person or a group that would like to do that, and it would be a viable place for that. But we would also have on the sides a community room that would allow for there to be a cafeteria and banquet hall of sorts. And then on another side, there would be a wrestling room, which we currently need desperately, along with a weight room. And those are the wings of this. And speaking to the history that occurred there, there's a history before the 1950s that we would also commemorate in the space, that we believe is important to not forget what actually was there before the civic was even there. And that we would work toward a collaborative effort with those in the community that we believe understand what was there in the past and bring that to light in the foyer area, if not in the community resource room that would be attached on one particular side of the building. So we see it as a multi-use space, not just a gymnasium. In our feasibility study, we did share how we would utilize it as a multi-use space that would allow us to extend our campus, also allow our students to have the education that the majority of the schools that we're in the league with to have. Right now, our biggest concern for us is without the space, we have to do some weird configuring of spaces on our campus. But ultimately, if we don't get it, we would do those weird configurations and make sure that it is happening. Sherry, thank you so much for placing that presentation in the chat. And if you all take some time, you will see all of the specifics around the proposal that we have. We believe it's feasible. We went through the study. They have shared that it is feasible and that we would keep the integrity of the building. We do have a list of contingencies that we will, when we do go to them with a final proposal, that we need to have, because as I said, we want to know that we can complete the project with fidelity and share with our community that this is the end goal, with these things in mind as we move forward. But we would have to go for this separately and discuss this separately. This would not be something that we would attach to. I think Jackie brought up something about elementary going. We need our elementary schools. This is just something that we know that in the future, if we could get it, it would help our campus plan at SAMO. But we don't want people to get confused by what we need right now, which is those elementary schools. I hope I answered your question. I don't see you on.
I'm right here.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm on this phone and it's like all these little faces.
Right, sure. And I'm just one of many little faces. Thank you so much for providing clarity. I appreciate that. And I hope that was helpful for other people as well.
Thank you. And please take a look at that presentation because it is really a good presentation. And we want to honor what people have asked, but we don't want to get in the way of the city council having to entertain other people's proposals. That's the thing. They can, we are here. We know we can do it. If we get it, we will do it. But if there's another person or group that can do a better job and do what they need to do, can do it. They can do it too. So.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. KG, Michelle, did you still have your hand raised for the queue? No? Okay, so Dr. Karen and Madam President Scott.
Thank you so much. Dr. Shelton, it's good to see you again. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate hearing your plans. I'm going to preface my question as briefly as I can and have you think about the importance of affordable housing, and particularly as it relates to people who work in our public institutions. My take on Santa Monica College and the Santa Monica-Malibu Unified School District is that when your people come to work, you diversify what is essentially after dark, when nobody comes, a largely still white city. It is one of the least diverse cities in Los Angeles County. It is one of the least affordable in Los Angeles County. And as you spoke about growing your staff and diversifying it along the way, on top of what is already a diverse roster of professionals working for your system, and I know Dr. Jeffrey is behind the same kind of thing for SMC. And we struggle because there's not enough affordable housing. So you're building up a cadre of motivated, intentional, committed folks who can't find a place to live. So my question to you is, I see you shaking your head, so I assume you are agreeing with me. In principle, if you could be as creative as possible, how could you, in your role and your system, be more persuasive with the power brokers making the decisions about affordable housing or lack of it to do a better job of expanding it? I hope my question is clear, because when we get a diverse group of people who live here back to voting, then our voting population becomes snap, and a bag of chips, in my opinion. What would you do?
Well, one of the things that we have had discussions about as a school, thank you for that question, because it's a reality for us. We've done a map of where all of our staff lives, and the reason we did that was around parking and looking at the distance that people came, and we were in some ways shocked because of the distance that people were driving. And all this was about sustainability. And then we started to have this conversation about housing. We have a property within our district, the old district office, and we are in a conversation. We haven't started anything in depth, but our goal would be if we could reuse and revitalize the property on 16th Street to develop affordable housing specifically for our staff that would allow them to be a part of our school community. This is a how do I put this? This is after a lot of things have been done first, but it is something that is in our thoughts, in our minds as we begin to look at our aging staff and how do we replace them and how we bring people to the west side and actually have them to buy into our community, not for just 3 and 4 years when they get their experience and then they leave. What we're trying to look at is what's the feasibility of us being able and the potential of utilizing our property at 16th Street across from the park to use that one day as the affordable housing piece. That is something that we've had conversations about, and more than likely, we hopefully one day will get there where we have this space. But one of the things that we also have to consider, everything we do, we have to go to the people, and we have to present, as you said, a communication that heeds to this is why we're doing what we're doing and why we need your support. And I think what we're going to have to do is work toward that sooner than later. We just have some big projects that are more urgent, but the housing piece is even just as urgent. I just don't know if we have the capacity to meet that need right now. But once we get these schools the way we need them, I think that would be the next phase of this process. I just need to stay around long enough to then be able to move that with our board's guidance in that direction. But I know that that is one of the thoughts around repurposing with a partner, repurposing that area. And maybe that partner is also not only an outside partner, but maybe that's a partner with SMC as well, because it's a staffing issue. I know that for a fact, being superintendent now just 90 days, but I know that's for a fact because we have the biggest issue in Malibu. No one wants to drive that far because of the fact that it's the distance and the cost of gas, and they don't live close. I hope I answered Dr. G. Dr. Gunn.
Yes.
I like
Yeah,
Dr.
I
G
like
though.
G is good. G is good. It's nothing but a G thing.
Dr. OG.
Baby.
And so, Angela and the rest of you, if I could just follow up very quickly, if you would indulge me. Thank you for that. I think that there are many possibilities. One is if you decide to repurpose 16th Street, I think that's what you might be referring to.
Yes, ma'am.
There would be people in the community that says you're supposed to be in education and not a housing landlord. So I suspect, folks looking for any opportunity to hit you upside the head will seize upon that. So I would just want to leave this with the thought about how the system, your institution, can be more persuasive with the folks who are builders, with the people who make decisions about what is built and how much and what percentage of what is built is dedicated to affordable housing, to raise that flag higher in some kinds of ways that might be persuasive with the people who make the decision and set the standards and the expectations for how much affordable housing goes where. So I hope that maybe that might be something to consider And if you need partners to speak about that, then you're looking at some of them here, perhaps, even though we have to be nonpartisan, but to educate the public about all of that stuff. So thank you for indulging me, and thank you everyone for letting me speak a little more. I appreciate it.
And
Thank you.
before we move on, I just want to establish the speaking order. Let me know if I missed the signs, but I believe we have Madam President Scott, Julie, and Erica. Did I get that right in terms of the order the hands went up? Is that good? Okay, great. Madam President, the floor is yours.
Thank you. And again, Dr. Shelton, I tell you, this has been a powerful, informative speech, informational, if you will. And Dr. G, I swear, you and I are on the same page, because I'm always going to come back with, how are we housing our staff if we're trying to really reach out? I am happy to hear about you stating the new outreach you're doing with Pepperdine. I like, that's exciting, as well as with Loyola, and bringing in more teachers of color, because at the end of the day, we know that representation matters with respect to how we're educating all of our kids, because that goes back to creating that sense of belonging. If they look like me, or if they have that cultural competency, then they understand from whence I'm coming from, my learned state, so they can meet me where I am. And like you said, create a better, successful outcome. So to that, I wanted to ask you regarding how, from that sense of well-being, how we are continuing to address food insecurity, right? Because we know, coming out of COVID, we found ourselves having to provide more food for the kids on the off time, right? Like after school and when they go out on the weekends. And we know now, with this rent moratorium ending, that's more families that are potentially going to be pushed out of their apartments, or having to face whether to buy groceries or buy gas to get my kid to school. So I'm wondering how, if there's anything in plans as far as fulfilling that debt, I say debt instead of gap, how we fulfill that debt with respect to food insecurity for our students.
I don't have an exact on that one. I know that we are continuing to provide free lunch for anyone that comes to school. If we do have a family that we know is in need, our community liaisons support and help to get those families the food that they need. We do have a partnership with, I forgot the name of the organization, but they, if we know of a homeless family, we provide the resources that's necessary to give them. For instance, we give gift cards. We have a partnership that was provided several years ago that's still at our schools or within our schools, that when a student or family reaches out to just share, or a teacher sees something that would allow us to question, is the student hungry? Does the student have housing? Then what we do is provide some supports there. And then we go toward our social worker, who then engage in the conversation, which is difficult because a lot of our folks don't necessarily want to tell us some of these things. It's an accident that we do find out oftentimes. And then we try to go as gentle as possible to provide the resources without calling people out and saying to them, hey, you're a homeless kid or homeless family, you come over here. What we'll do is we'll bring the kid into the office and connect with them and ask a series of questions. And then we connect them with the resources that we have at our school and with our community partners to help them get the things that they need. There are times when we found out that a kid has found housing, but they may not have a refrigerator. So what we'll do is find a partner that will provide the refrigerator, or they have clothing, but they don't have access to a laundromat. So there are times when we have to find funds and we provide the funds for it. It just depends on the situation. But I know when we do find out, what we do is we act appropriately and responsibly while honoring the privacy of the individual who is sharing things with us. As I've said many times, people want to give kids things, but when you don't have a home to place those things in, it's not helpful. And most of all, it's the gift cards. It's how do we pay a bill. Those are the things that we're trying also to continue to wrap our heads around, because those are resources that a school doesn't necessarily have to give. Those are resources that we have to ask others to give. So we do that through partnerships that we with homeless family services that we have. Samo High has about 7 or 8 partners that we work with in order to get our homeless youth and those that are not fed opportunities to get those materials. And those things trickle down to the elementary as well through the partnerships that are established at our high school and at Olympic as well, because we do have students that are at Olympic that are going through what you just mentioned. But we're still working. It's not perfect, but we are working. And the great thing is we haven't stopped giving free breakfast and free lunch. And that is my understanding will be a long-term thing that won't stop. It started during the pandemic and it hasn't stopped. And hopefully it's not something that will ever be taken out of any state budget.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Dr. Shelton.
Thank you, Kate. 2 more things, and I swear I'm short. Number 1, I wanted you, Dr. Shelton, to also talk a little bit about, because you did talk about the social emotional aspect of it. So again, I just had a question coming out of COVID. Have you found that you, and we all know this to be true, the students are having a heightened level of social emotional issues that are arising, and what you found as far as the hiring of additional, case managers, if you will, coming out of that. So that's really that piece that I had. Just wanted to know what you found across the district as far as the levels of where the highest level of need is. That in elementary school, is that in middle school, is that in high school, as far as where you're finding
the needs all over. Angela, the need is all over. And the crazy part is, we speak mostly to the kids. It's not just kids. Adults have changed as well. It's balancing the social emotional piece, where how do we provide services not only for kids, but how do we provide services for adults? Because the perspectives, a lot of adults have forgot some of the things, teachers have forgotten some of the things that they learned prior. Our kids have forgotten how to respond when conflict occurs. Whereas we will never be the same. I always tell people, oftentimes people say, I can't wait till we get back to what used to be. What used to be is over. What used to be is not our reality. What used to be is not our existence anymore. What we're living in is a time where people are figuring out how to handle their own responses to the trauma that has occurred to them. We don't know all of those pieces of that trauma. What we are discovering is how to deal with some of those pieces of the trauma, and also retraining, because we thought we were doing a great job of training our staff, training our students, how to respond through RJ circles, through having actually conversations amongst students, how to handle that. Now we're teaching our teachers how to respond to this different type of behavior that has come to the classroom, where kids used to think first and then do something. Now it's do something. And we're getting better, but it's still a struggle. And it's actually educating parents on how the tools that we're using at school, we need parents to use those same tools at home, because that creates some consistency for a kid. If a kid feels that I can do certain things in this space, but I can't do it in this space, we have 2 different modalities that are going on here. So one of the things that that Dr. Drati hired before was he took a teacher out of the classroom, and what we are providing is social emotional training for our staff. What has to now occur, you can provide professional development. Now it needs to be implemented daily in the practices, so it's a natural part of what's going on in that person's life, specifically when conflict occurs, because that harm is brought up when the conflict is exposed. And what we're also doing, three or four specifically of our schools are now using the RJ training, which is open, will be open to the community as well. Erica and PTA we are working together to partner, because as I shared, when parents understand what the practices are, for instance, our social, emotional, professional development, what that looks like, and then what are our restorative justice practices, what does that look like? Why do we use circles? How do you operate in a circle? Do we practice that at our home to have a resolution to conflict? Because oftentimes what I found, and I'll stop because you spoke to something that is a key part of what I believe. When we use restorative practices, people we are prone to say, where's the consequence for everything? Have we got to the root of why there is even a conversation about why there is a consequence? Have we gotten to the root of what the actual problem was? Maybe we were part of that problem. Maybe we overlooked something. And we're so quick to give a punishment. And if we define what punishment, everything doesn't necessarily need a punishment. Maybe there's a conversation about why we got to this point and why we need to change the behavior. Now, there are times when there should be a consequence for an action, but we need to understand within a circle, within a restorative practice, how do we go through the process of what has happened and work with the person that harmed the individual and work with the person that has been harmed to come to a point where we can restore that person properly back into the community, where they feel that, number one, I have been heard. No one said I have to love you or like you, but I have been heard. I have been honored by what has taken place. And then I now understand that I need to do these things to be productive in our society. And I think that's the only way we get back to somewhat of a normalcy. I'm not saying getting back to what we used to be, but understanding that there are steps and structures that are in place that we embody to create productive citizens that will be members of the League of Women Voters, that understand the process of how to live in our society, while also understanding that they need to be respected and honored as well. So these programs that I'm talking about, we are establishing them. We at the high school, I know there's Margaret Place for those who have been harmed, that are outside, who may be in foster care. And that is through community schools. We've got several counselors there, and community schools has been a big part of not only making sure connecting our community and our school to our community, but also how to deal with the harms that exist within families, and also sponsoring clubs at our schools to support students as well. I hope I answered that, but the two things there are the RJ circles, the social, emotional, professional development that is provided by Kimberly, and then Shuli Lowton around the social work. So those resources are there. And also ultimately, it's how we provide instruction so that we can keep our kids focused on what their purpose is in the classroom.
No, thank you for that. That was really extensive, and thank you for taking that time to do that deeper dive, because a lot of times we are not always aware of all the services unless we're right there taking our child through it. And then we're like, oh, okay, this is happening over here, and let me hand off this research, because you don't know what you don't know. And a lot of times parents, guardians, community members are not always aware of all the services that are there. So thank you for sharing that. I'm going to hand off to Julie, but I want to make a quick announcement. And this, thanking you, Dr. Shelton, for really encouraging. We have girls flag football that kicked off.
Yes, we do. Yes.
9. They were featured on Good Day LA on Thursday. I'll drop the link in the chat if you haven't seen it. I'm saying all that because my daughter plays linebacker. They just returned from Corona, got 3rd place. So they're ranked nationally. So please consider coming out to the games. This has been a long journey getting here, and that was student-led too, as far as recruiting the coaches and everything. That was student-led through all that. Okay, I'm done. I'll get off my high horse. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat. Julie, you're next.
Julie and Erica will wrap up our questions.
Okay.
So,
I'll be quick. I just wanted to
go
say
ahead.
the first thing, I'm really realizing the deep value, Dr. Shelton, of someone being the superintendent of the schools in Santa Monica who's been here a minute and has really knows of all that you're talking about. And I'm just really, as someone who's a parent but no longer a part of the school district, I realize how much I don't know about what's going on now. And it's just incredibly inspiring, actually, to really hear everything you're talking about. So I really just want to start with a thank you and to acknowledge that. This last piece on restorative practices, I'm sitting here thinking, how can we in our community have our students help lead the adults who are having such a hard time with things? I mean, it's just, I'm sort of popping with ideas as I listen to you.
Yes.
And appreciative of everything you shared. So, having just been kind of cleaning out paperwork and stuff from my files and my kids' stuff, I'm very focused today on Edison because my kids both went through that pathway. And I have to say, I continue to feel that it is a sort of jewel in the rough, so to speak, in Santa Monica, because honestly, I feel like it gave my family and my kids so very much. So it's making me wonder how we can do more of that and really expand not only the reach, but the lessons of Edison, the stories through the entire pathway. So I know that's perhaps a big question, but it's something I'm personally very interested in. Thank you for spending your time with us.
Yeah, and you're right. It goes back to my beginning when we're talking about storytelling. Becoming superintendent has been really interesting because I knew the secondary. I know high school. I last year I knew middle school and then visiting Edison last week was really so cool to go from the little ones to the big ones. And then having the principal, Lori, talk about the history of the fact that it was almost closed down at one point, and how the community comes together to create something different, recreating an opportunity, which led to an opportunity. And I think oftentimes we don't think about that when we're thinking about education and repurposing what it is that we once did and how we can make it or revive it again. And I can say one of the things that we have started to do is reshape CTE as an example, career technical education, because most people think, oh my God, ROP, or the kids are getting this, but career technical education is engineering. It is health and wellness. It is auto tech. It is digital design. And what we're doing is we are creating a new opportunity for kids through engineering, through health and wellness, through film and production, through law and public policy, where the League of Women Voters can get engaged in that process once that academy, because these will all be academies through CTE, through career technical education, that will be in the new building that we will go into in the fall, I think of 24. I think I'm right. It looks like it's almost done, but it will be the exploration building. So what we're trying to do is expand our programs and give opportunities for kids to shape their own educational experience, which allows them to do so through project-based learning. All of these things, PBL, that plays a role in that. The RJ plays a role in that. The DEI, the diversity, equity, inclusion. And then when I talk about curiosity, we all of these words lead into that. And Julie, you mentioned specific programming. The specific programming hopefully brings people to our school because they have a pathway they can choose to connect to. Like you and your family, you connected to Edison because of the language program that existed there. What we want people to do is think about SAMO and think about how they can connect to some programming there, where Angela's kid may be I'm playing flag football and I'm doing the choir. Those are the things, because our music department's awesome. But also, I think that people need to understand that I may have a love for engineering. You have a space at SAMO for engineering. You have a space for uh, um, public policy at SAMO, because the more we can provide opportunities, even though we're getting smaller, the more we provide opportunities, the better we become as an educational institution. One thing I want to also share is this year was our first year starting. Ben left me and said, "Hey, take this and do something with it," which was our middle school sports. And last year we were in the planning phase. Now we need your money. But so if you want to donate to the athletic fund, do so. Linda Greenberg is heading that up. But we have had a successful start to the school year with our middle school sports. That's also another way to engage more of our community and making sure they don't leave us as they transition from elementary to middle school. And we had 145, 160 kids participating, but we've got to figure out how we add more of those kids, maybe in a recreational way, and maybe not on the competitive team, but in a recreational way, because 440 of them tried out, but we didn't have enough spaces for them. So we hope that we'll able to do more of that as well. So Julie, I'm sorry. I hope I answered some of that, but that's a big question.
Well,
And
yeah,
we'll work toward
thank
that.
you. Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, Erica, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me on this platform with you guys. Also, thank you, Dr. Shelton. Congratulations. I don't think I ever got a chance to tell you congratulations. Everything's moving so fluidly. I'm just saying, I saw you yesterday, as a matter of fact, at the Cultural Fair at Grant.
Oh, that was a cool thing. Erica did a great job on that one.
She did. But so I have a quick question, and see, I won't keep you guys here long. When you say repurpose the building on 16th, and as you go forward with these different plans, and as far as like affordable housing development, you have to have a partner. Could we please diversify that work group? Can I see some Black people? Can I see some Latinos? Can I see some, you know what I'm saying, that are the heads of these developers? Because we have plenty. As I'm on the rent control board and I've gone to California Housing First and all these conferences and stuff, I see people of different ethnicities, but I don't see that reflected in the work that's done here in Santa Monica. So without somebody trying to tear your head off, I'll say it here before I start out all the other places. I'm just saying, because it needs to look like diversity, as we, you know what I'm saying, our city's going to diversify regardless, because we're going to have a lot of people coming in, as the state has mandated these affordable housing units. And I'm so happy that, you know, you're breaking the glass on the plans on trying to repurpose 16th Street. Because that's something that's been long in the making, long in the works, that really needed, so that we can diversify our workforce with the school district. Because if you diversify the workforce, you diversify the thought process, and this will help us trying to think outside the box.
Yeah. And that's something that I'm sure that I'm glad you mentioned, that I'm sure that we could think about specifically, and if we get to that stage. As I said, this is just something that we had just had a conversation about, and I'm just sharing that. I don't know how soon that would occur. There would be multiple processes that this would have to go through, but this is just something that, you know, we have on our minds, because we know our staff has to be able to have access to something affordable in our region, so that we can provide the best opportunities for our students. And Erica, that's something that I absolutely could take to Carrie and Steve Massetti as we move forward, even with projects that we're currently going to do. I mean, it's not just limited to that option with the affordable housing, which would be probably a decade from now to occur. But our more recent thing would be our elementary schools if that bond get passed. How do we operate? Who's actually leading that process, and what contractors are doing what? So absolutely, Erica, something that we absolutely can discuss.
Because you say if, I say when. When.
I
Not
love you.
when. When. We're going to speak it to positive. We're going to speak it out to fruition. It's going to happen because it needs to. It's
Okay,
needed.
sister, I believe you. I'm here. I got to remember, I spend public money. I don't spend my own. So I have to always think about how people are going to feel about these things, and also I've got to be the advocate for it and the voice as our school board, because I have 7 people who employ me. That I also have to consider as I say what my mindset says and believes as well. So we all are going to be on the same page to move much of this forward. So thank you so much for that question, Erica.
Thank you.
And thank you all for allowing me to share with you. It's really exciting to see some familiar faces, seeing Sherry here, Erica and Angela and Dr. G. I met Dr. G on the promenade quite a way back. It's been a long time. And Julie, hey, I remember you with your students. So thank you all so much. Erica, as always, my sister. Thinking of
And
Dr.
then
Shelton,
Jackie has, yeah, go ahead, Jackie.
thank you so much for your time today and for allowing this conversation to go into overtime extra innings. You are a champ for that. I also personally really appreciate your honesty and transparency. We don't often hear people in a position of power say, you know, for example, to Angela, I don't have an exact answer for you on that one, or I'm still learning about elementary school. You know, I'm more experienced in other areas. So to share that type of honesty with us is really refreshing. And I'm sure I speak for everyone when I say we really appreciate that. And in appreciation of that and your time, we would love to give you an honorary 1-year membership with the League of Women Voters Santa Monica for the 23-24 league year, if you are down to accept that, if that's kosher.
I'm down. I pledge.
All right. We will send you an email confirmation of your membership. You're going to be in the spreadsheet. Oh my God, watch out. Spreadsheet. Thank you again so much, Dr. Shelton. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Shelton.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank
Nice to see you all. Nice to see you,
Nice to see
Judy.
you, Dr. Shelton. Nice to
Take
see
care.
you.
Have
Bye-bye.
a great weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And with that, I will hand the meeting over to Angela for most likely closing remarks.
Yeah, closing remarks. Yes, Jackie. One of the closing remarks I would like to say involving membership, and I'll pivot back to you, is while we have a quote unquote set number, we also have the opportunity for a pay as you go or pay as you can for membership. Jackie, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I just dropped in the chat various links to our membership form. It's the same form whether you are a first-time member or whether you are renewing. There are 2 ways to join. You can join online using our Google form and PayPal, or you can download, print, and mail a actual paper copy through the actual mail membership form and include a check. Membership is $75 for an individual for the year. We also have, which you'll see in the forms, we have household memberships where additional memberships are discounted per household member. And of course, we are an inclusive organization and don't ever want money to be a barrier to being a part of this group. So we also have a pay what you can option. And, you know, if that's $5, great. If that's $0, so be it. So whatever makes sense within your means works for us. We just would love to have as much participation as possible and not have finance be a barrier. So again, links to join or renew your membership are in the chat right now. And I've also included our email address, league@ lwvsantamonica.org. You can, if you have membership questions, please email me there, include either the word member or Jackie, which is my name, in the subject line so I can read it toot sweet. That's all I got.
Yeah, thank you, Jackie, for that. And with respect to our meetings, we have a board of directors meeting that is held every third Saturday. Although it is our board of directors meeting, all of our members can attend. They're open to attend. So please let me know, if you'd like to attend. We'd love to have you. Every voice matters. Every voice brings new ideas, new opportunities to us. And we are always interested in building out our community partnership. And to that, I want to tie us up, but I also want to give either Dr. Karen or Julie the opportunity real quick to mention. Julie, you dropped it in the chat, the upcoming event, Countering Truth Decay, Community Conversation. If you want to give us a 30-second spiel.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Rand has done a lot of research over the last bunch of years on this. Former CEO Michael Rich co-wrote one of the books that was on Obama's 2018 summer reading list about truth decay. And this is going to be a discussion where we hear from Rand's Truth Decay Fellow, which is a fellow from Penn State, Ray Block, who is really helping to advance this work. And most importantly, the uses. So this idea that we know that misinformation and the need for media literacy and polarization and all these issues that are so threatening to our democracy are up, but what do you do and what works? So we're going to hear about the research and what causes it, yada, yada, and then have a panel discussion and Q&A, and it'll be part of what the Human Relations Council will be doing over the next few months or the next year, really, to have some community discussions on how we really restore some better working processes towards the things that matter and create a sense of belonging and connection in our community, which has been really frayed. So we hope this will be a good event. It'll be free. We're also looking for financial sponsors. So if anybody has ideas about that, we're happy to have SMC jump in to be a sponsor. So that was great. And several individuals have stepped up as well. So can share that information if people are interested. So that'd be my commercial. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you. Let's see. Joanne or Robbie, since you're on here, would you like to mention about the upcoming CRJ workshop that's coming up next Sunday? 30-second spiel. I'm giving everybody 30 seconds since all the community members are on here. Hit unmute, Robbie.
And look, it's two of them. Come on now.
Just hit the space bar.
You know what? This is not my computer. Anyway, hey, y'all. Okay. Don't put me on the spot, Angela, and then Joanne goes, take it away. Okay. So anyway, October 8th, we're having a special session. Everybody knows it's hip hop has been all over the news. It's 50 years of hip hop. So we're having a workshop entitled 50 Years of Hip Hop, Political and Social Justice. How about that? We're having Master Professor Tim Connolly from Santa Monica College. He's bringing on people from the Hip Hop Hall of Fame. He just let us know that he's bringing someone, Arabia Prince from NWA. So we're trying to bring out the kids as well as us adult kids to, yeah, okay, you like that, right? To listen to Tim, who is master at relating hip hop to social and racial justice, and just kind of helping us to understand more about certain, the generation and what's happening now. What was happening 50 years ago is some of the same stuff happening now. So anyway, and how to find solutions. So I'm really excited about that workshop. We are really excited, right, Angela, Joanne? And we want all y'all to come and attend. Come on out with us and eat some of those Subway sandwiches and and enjoy hearing all about hip hop. And if you know any younger people, bring them. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ms. Karen?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay,
I'll let
so
you finish.
yeah, bring a friend, please. Bring a friend always. You know, CRJ's been doing this for a very over a decade, very long time. And so we do this work and we take it serious and we just gonna continue on. So love this workshop. It was wonderful, well put on, and considering my membership. Okay.
Well, thank you, Miss Robbie. Dr. Karen, were you gonna?
I just want to piggyback on what CRJ is doing and why it's really important in our current milieu of civic discourse or uncivil discourse. And that is that the lyrics and music of this 50-year-old genre of hip hop is really important. And I'd also recognize that for many people, the lyrics have been off-putting. If you roll from a feminist point of view, if you are concerned about policing language and are upset by certain words that are used, there is a chasm where there shouldn't be about understanding the truthiness of what hip hop spoke to across the board, even if it comes with things or words or things that are unsettling because you regard them as insulting to women, particularly, this is a League of Women Voters. It really is important to understand what those lyrics are all about and that it reflected the experience of the people who spoke them, the spoken word, spitting that word, as they sometimes say, and understand so that even as we embrace important causes, we can understand the causes behind those lyrics and why they were important, spoken the way that they were. You know, my experience is sometimes when I play my playlist and it's hip hop heavy, you know, when I roll into some places and I'm bouncing, I sometimes think, well, I better turn it down because some folks are going to say, oh, no, she didn't. But actually, I do. And there's a reason why, because there's stuff that's said as they talked about the arrest of the person alleged to be responsible for Tupac Shakur. And some of the journalists talking about what was behind his lyrics. He was talking about poetically justice and injustice. So there's something that all of us can learn who have decided to ignore that truthiness in hip hop music to appreciate what it was saying. So I hope everyone will join CRJ because I think it'll be a very important discussion. And my brother Tim is rolling. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for that, Karen, for the for the extended I would say bringing us to your place of epistemology, right? Of your knowing of trying to use all my, things I'm learning in school. All my theories.
My dog is barking in support.
Yay. Okay, let's see. If there's nothing else for the good of the order, I think we can officially end this fall kickoff. Again, thank you all for coming. This was really informative. Like I feel like I'm satisfied. Like I had a meal and now I'm full.
Great meeting, great discussion.
Great discussion. I feel really confident with Dr. Shelton. Yeah, that really hit home for me. Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, Angela.
Thank you all.
Thanks. By the way, who wants crepes?
I'm sure Judy does. She's right there.
Judy does? Okay, Barbara, I'll come bring some by.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, she's like around the corner.
Yep, there you go. There you go.
It was good. It was
Thanks,
good.
everyone.
You all
Thanks.
organized a great meeting. And so hats off to our two grand poobahs and everybody else who helped out. And I thought it was very informative. So I'm glad I was here.
Great.
Thank
Thanks.
you. And I'll owe it to Barbara. Barbara makes me look good.
Angela, I have a quick question. During his presentation at the HRC meeting the other evening, Derek Devermont mentioned that he has a court appearance on the date of the PSROC meeting coming up. So October 3 is very, very close. Does that mean I should ignore the posting that there is a meeting on October the 3rd or not?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I believe so, because I did talk to him. He gave me a call the other day and he mentioned that. So
okay, no meeting.
I would say yes, that we talked about pushing it back or perhaps bumping it to November. So from my understanding, yes.
Okay.
Look for an update on that, but from my understanding, yes. I'll let you know. I'll send out an email if I hear anything. All right. Thanks, everybody. I have to hop, I have a gala to go to now, so I've got to do one more wardrobe change for today.
So long. Thanks.
Thanks. All right. And Barbara, we'll connect tomorrow to catch up.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. I was like, is Barbara still there?
I'm here. I always wait to say bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you. Great meeting, Barbara. Thank you so much for all your help.
Oh, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.